so frigid out. I swear to God. Look at these legs. These legs weren't built for the cold. They were built for the heat and the warmth. But today we are here in Scranton, Pennsylvania, the hometown of Joe Biden. It is election day. We are here doing some exit polling and talking to some local voters and representatives here. So I'm very excited that you're all joining us on the stream. I'm going to be doing a little bit of reporting, and the first person I'm going to be pulling in and talking to is a little friend of mine, Connor Kelly O'Brien. Hello, Connor.
Good morning, Pissi. Thank you for being here.
It's my joy to be here with you. Connor, can you tell all the children who are watching at home who you are and why they should know you?
There is no reason you should know me. If you do know me, there's a problem. No, my name is Connor Kelly O'Brien. I'm the co-founder and executive director of Scranton Fringe. We're a nonprofit arts and culture organization here in Scranton. I was just getting the cue to talk louder. We are...
And you are suffering from Tourette's. Good for you, Connor, for being so vocal.
So we're an arts and culture organization. We are here to communicate to the public, help get you out to vote, and also just to capture different perspectives that are happening here in Scranton. It's oddly enough kind of ground zero for America right now today, the hometown of Vice President and presidential nominee Joe Biden. We're going to be talking to people of all different views, and we just want to have a little fun, and we're so grateful for the impeachment queen herself, Pissi Myles, to be here. And we're also right out in front of the Scranton Cultural Center, which is actually a polling place. There you go. Look at all those musicals that didn't happen this year.
Connor, you are so lucky to have me here. I have to tell you, what a privilege it must be to be in the presence of something so mediocre.
It's like a gravitational pull.
You know what's funny? Scientists have recently discovered that I have one. Connor, I wanted to talk to some of the local voters here. You live in New York City, but you are a native Scrantonian. What do you call someone who's from Scranton?
Help. You call them help. No, yes, I was born and raised in Scranton. I moved to New York. I have been back since the pandemic. I technically work in New York. I live in Pennsylvania. I pay my taxes here. Look it up. I vote here. But yeah, no, I mean, I really believe in, as much as I love New York and I miss it dearly, there is something about this place that's just so intoxicating and real, and I love it so much, and I'm so grateful to have grown up here. And it was really important to me to make sure my vote counted here. Because, unfortunately, I'm sorry, New York, I do apologize, especially New York City. I know you needed more liberals. I know that you're missing.
They're dying without you, Connor. It was your vote that was going to send the state blue.
The gay liberal community of New York City just doesn't know what it's doing right now without me there. So
everyone is so lost without you, Connor. I do agree. I have been here in Scranton many, many times, often to perform with the Scranton Fringe Festival. We do shows like Big Gay Story Slam. Amazing. Scranton Fringe Festival is an amazing arts producer and organization, and it is a nonprofit. They do a lot of amazing work here in Scranton, and having organizations like that in small towns is so important, and it's so important to keep those organizations alive right now because everyone is suffering in the midst of this pandemic. Connor, you are a very adamant and vocal voter.
Yes.
What issues are motivating you during this election cycle?
That answer would have been, there's a myriad of answers. Number one, I think, is what's most commonplace to everyone right now is COVID. That is probably my number one issue, and just bringing some decency back to the White House. So today is nonpartisan. Scranton Fringe is nonpartisan. I, Connor Kelly O'Brien, trademark, as an individual, I'm obviously casting my vote for Joe Biden. And that's just my personal vote, and it's okay if you don't. Well, that's my opinion. Questionable.
This is a very diplomatic speech you're giving us.
Not only from a health perspective, but even if your mindset is just strictly economic, as you know, as we all know in the performing arts and creative arts industry, which is one of, if not the number one economic catalyst in the country, it surpassed agriculture a few years ago, is dying right now. So we're so grateful for events like this and virtual programming. And if you're joining us, please share, please please help us get the word out more and more. We'll be with you all day throughout the day. So I would say COVID-19 is like my number one issue.
Beautiful. And I think that's a fair issue to be concerned about. It's obviously affecting the whole world at the moment, and we're all kind of looking for some kind of relief. Connor, I have a very important question that I'm going to be asking a lot of people over the course of today. We we are all motivated by so many different things. I have a personal motivation in this election. There's a question that I think is shaping everyone's idea of what they're going to do today on this momentous day here in the United States. Since I've been in Scranton, I've heard conjecture in many different ways, like oodles and boodles of ways. Is it a hoagie, a Subway sandwich, a hero? I've heard it called a grinder. That's made up. No one does that. What is it? What is it called, Connor?
All joking aside, I just want you to know I'm getting a little angry, like right here. There's a little part of my coal dust Scranton, Pennsylvania heart. It depends on what it is. I would argue it depends on where you're getting it from, what part of northeastern Pennsylvania, NEPA, and what exactly is within it. Hoagie to me is a universal umbrella term, and to me a sub is something very distinct and different. I respect your view to have a different opinion, but it is trash.
These are alternative facts, ladies and gentlemen. Please bear that in mind as you watch this stream that Connor doesn't know anything about anything. Connor, thank you so much. I love you to death. I love to tease him. Kids, that was Connor Kelly O'Brien. He works and is one of the board members for the Scranton Fringe Festival, an amazing organization, arts organization here in Scranton. I'd love to bring on someone else to talk to. We're going to be bringing people on one after the other. It's like being at the restroom at Pieces in New York. I'm going to bring in a voter here in Scranton, Pennsylvania. My darling, come to me, Michael Simeon. Did I get it right? Everyone say hello to Michael Simeon. Michael, you are a Scranton voter, correct?
I am.
How long have you lived in Scranton?
All my life, 53 years.
53 years. You have lived here your whole life. And are you proud to call Scranton home?
I am.
What do you think is the core value that keeps you so tied to a place like Scranton?
I think it's just the people itself. We have a different mindset. We're close to the big cities, but at the same time, we still have that small town feel. And everybody's your neighbor.
Everybody's your neighbor. It all feels kind of familiar, is kind of what you're saying.
Exactly.
I like that. I like a town that has kind of a hometown feel. Michael, have you voted today?
I did. I was number 126 at 7:45 this morning.
You were number 126 at 7:45 in the morning. My goodness, what time did you get up this morning?
5:30.
That's when I usually go to bed, Michael. 5:30 in the morning on purpose. My God. Michael, something I'm trying to ask everyone out here. A lot of people are motivated to vote for different reasons. What are some of the issues that motivated you in this election?
One of my main motivation is for the LGBT rights. I'm a proud married man, and I'm really scared on what's going to happen with the new Supreme Court, with what the current person at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, what he may or may not do to our rights. We fought this far up until 2015, so it's really scary. Like 3 years from now, 4 years from now, is my marriage going to be dissolved? I don't know.
I'll be honest with you. I'll be very candid. In 2016, my husband and I got married a month to the day after the election because we weren't sure what was going to happen. This is a very real fear for a lot of LGBTQ people, especially now with the confirmation of Amy Coney Barrett. It is a legitimate fear. So I hope that if this is something you're considering as you're headed to the polls today, that you'll give it some thought, and that's not to sway you one way or another. Michael, are there any other issues that were important to you in this election?
You know, I think the whole thing was just the decency part. There was mudslings on both sides, but I think it's It's just the decency part. It's almost like civil unrest. In the past presidential debates, the president referred himself to Abraham Lincoln. And you all knew what happened with that. We had a civil war. And we're just seeing what's going on right now. And I think it's just bringing back respect, humility, dignity to the office. And we don't have that right now.
It's interesting that you should say that. I definitely agree. There is a lot of contention in all parts of the United States, not just in Washington. There's a lot of hostility, and I feel like people are angry and impassioned, and they feel very strongly about a lot of issues. What do you think is the best way for us to kind of start to come back together and to try to close that divide and close that gap between the quote unquote two sides of this disagreement?
I think it actually comes from some of the presidential debates where you had the one candidate say he's not a Republican president or a Democrat president. He's a president for the American people. He's an American president. I think we need to divide the party lines and come together. I think that's the worst thing that's happening right now, is that you have Republicans, you have Democrats. It's not one cohesive America working for the same thing. Prior to the elections, I like Donald Trump as a person. Got his book, loved it, went to, stayed at his hotels, loved it. As a president, I don't like his policies. I think he's a businessman running it for his own private reasons.
So I have one final question. Listen, I'm not trying to out anyone here. I'm not forcing anyone out of any closets today. Michael, I have one final question for you before you go. You say hoagie? Hoagie? My goodness. Well, you know what? Hoagie is more reasonable than a grinder. Do you know I just learned about this last night? Michael, for those of you who couldn't hear because I didn't have the microphone up to him, said that here in Scranton, it is referred to as a tray of pizza, no matter the size, quantity, or container. And that is just factually incorrect. I want to say, for all of the world who is listening, it is not a tray of pizza. Although I will say that's more forgivable to me. I have one more question. Do you watch The Office?
I do.
Do you consider yourself Team Jim or Team Dwight?
Team Jim.
Team Jim. All right, I'll go with that. Either answer was acceptable. I love both. Exactly. Michael, thank you so much for chatting with me today. I appreciate it. Enjoy the rest of your day. Stay warm. It's very chilly out here. That is Michael Simeon. He is a local voter here in Scranton, and I appreciate him taking the time to chat with me today. Micah! Hello, Micah. Come on over. You look so toasty warm. If we weren't in the middle of a pandemic, I would stick my hands in your shirt. Micah, am I pronouncing that correctly?
Yeah, like for Micah, but just without the for.
For Micah. I love that. Did you know there's a drag queen in New York City named For Micah?
No, I did not, but now we have to meet. We're probably like kindred spirits.
You probably are. She's legendary. She's Lady Bunny's age, so she's about 160. Micah, how's your day going so far?
Good. I mean, it's an exciting day. It's a little bit of a stressful day. I can't wait till tomorrow, but it's a fun day to be in Scranton. It's exciting for Pennsylvania and for Scranton in general. So it's a good day.
Are you feeling good about your vote today?
I haven't voted yet. That's where I'm going directly after this.
Oh, right after this, you're going to vote. Well, I don't want to sway your vote in any way. That's certainly not what I came here to do. Micah, do you mind if I ask you a few questions about policy? Absolutely. Micah, what are some of the issues in this election that are motivating you?
Yeah, so I mean, really when we look at it, 2020 has been a year unlike any other. We had a good economy that was kind of headed in the right direction. Some decent things were happening. And then, of course, we have the 2020 pandemic, which threw a wrench in every plan that we had. And so for me, I guess the biggest thing right now, initially in this moment, is going to be walking through the rest of this pandemic, really focusing on the health and well-being of all of the people in our communities. And then after that, we have to get things back on track as far as the economy goes. I'm a small business owner, so that's really important to me. So, it's twofold. It really is twofold. world. There's two sides to this coin, and it really is a balancing act. You can't just focus on one and not the other. So we really do have to focus on both sides and come together and figure this out.
I agree with you 100%. Are you a small business owner here in Scranton?
I am. My business is about 2 blocks away. So
What's your business?
it's called Lavish Body and Home. So it's a hybrid salon and spa, and then a boutique retail store. So
I love that. If you're ever in Scranton, come to Lavish Boutique and
Body and Home.
Lavish Body and Home. It is 2 blocks from the Cultural Center.
That's it.
That's amazing. Michael, are there any other issues in this election that were kind of swaying you one way or the other?
Just kind of an overreaching idea of what direction we want to take the country. America has been a very unique experiment for hundreds of years. We tried some things, they worked. We tried some things, they didn't work. And I feel like overall as a country, we've been moving forward in the right direction, not just for the past 4 years with Trump, but even the previous 8 with Obama. I feel like we made some fantastic strides as far as social equity within our community, within our country, and I think those are things we need to keep moving forward. So, as I was just talking to Connor a few moments ago, I'm kind of one of those people that's hard to pin down. I very much live in the middle because I'm very passionate about women's rights and about the LGBTQ community. I'm also very passionate about the First and Second Amendment. So I truly do live in the middle. I like to say I live in the middle. My wife likes to say I live on one complete opposite side, and then I swing to the other back and forth all the time. So we're in a unique time. We're in a very unique time, and unfortunately, we're in a time where I feel like half the country is going to be very disappointed tomorrow morning.
And we don't know which half it is yet.
And that's the thing. I mean, I don't think you could have two candidates that are more polar opposite. So it's going to be really interesting to see what America looks at and what America does today and what America looks like tomorrow. But one thing that I will say, and I have friends on both sides of the aisle, 16 years ago when Obama was coming through, and then when he won the presidency, and I told all my conservative friends, you're going to be fine. Relax. America's still America. It's a great country. And I said the same thing to my friends that were more on the liberal side 4 years ago with Trump. You're going to be fine. And at the end of the day, no matter who it is, I've got your back. We're all going to get through this together, and we're going to be great. So.
Do you have plans to decompress later to kind of get rid of some of the stress of election day?
Oh yeah, and it's my go-to every time. It's bourbon. That's just kind of the go-to. That's what you want. You could go with vodka, but for something like this, you need to step it up a notch and go for bourbon. So.
Yeah, go for the brown liquor. That's what you want on a day like today. You go for the dark liquor.
Absolutely, 100%.
I love that, Micah. Oh, could I? Oh my goodness, can I get a shot of bourbon at Lavish if I stop by later?
Oh yeah, I have like a little mini bar set up behind the front counter, and we're gonna get through all of it today, I think.
What are we waiting for? We're on our way now. Micah, I wish you the best, and I hope you enjoy getting your chance to vote today. Micah, I have one other question for you before I let you go. I'm asking everybody because I think it's important. I'm from New York City. I didn't grow up in Scranton, although I do love it here. It's a wonderful little town that I happen to love quite a lot. I have heard a lot of people who have said that this is a question that has changed their minds entirely about which way they were voting today. Okay. Is it a hoagie, a sub, or a hero? Or, dare I say, I have heard it referred to as a grinder.
Okay, so I'm also not from here originally. Okay. I'm originally from Nashville, Tennessee, and then I lived over in Europe for most of my teenage years, so I'd never heard the word grinder referred to in any sandwich form whatsoever, so I think I was just as taken aback as you were. But if I had to pick one, I'm going to go with sub. It's got to be sub. Yeah, it's got to be sub.
Micah is right. Everyone should listen to Micah. Sub sandwich. Simone, one of our other Scranton Fringe members, is absolutely thumbs downing that decision.
Simone is wrong.
Listen, I've been trying to tell her all morning. Thank you so much, Micah. I wish you the best. Enjoy the rest of your day. And I will be stopping by Lavish for a shot of bourbon. Beautiful. And you should stop at Lavish as well if you are ever in the city of Scranton. I really don't have enough nice things to say about this city. I have been here many times in the last few years. Like I said, I have performed with Scranton Fringe Festival, and I have performed with so many different organizations, and I've performed at restaurants and bars here. And I've done the Big Gay Story Slam with Scranton Fringe Festival, which I've hosted and performed at, and it has been absolutely wonderful. that's why I think it's so important these days, especially in the midst of everything we're going through, no matter which side of the aisle you're on, to support small businesses, small organizations, startups, and not-for-profits, the museums and the theaters and the small production organizations. Now is the time to find a way to become involved in your community, because keeping things small is how we're going to thrive in the midst of all of this craziness, at least in my opinion. Yes, Connor.
See, how are we doing today?
So far, so good.
Oh, good. That's great. I am really excited. We are actually going to do something really cool. We're going to do a simultaneous. You're going to be interviewed now, live on air. This is Catherine from the Pocono Recorder. Catherine, come on over.
Catherine, come on over. Catherine, you don't mind being on camera with Haps News, do you? Catherine, welcome. You're the Pocono reporter?
The Pocono Record, yes.
The Pocono Record. Oh, I love that. Yeah. Wonderful. How are you, darling?
I'm good. How are you?
So far, so good. I'm freezing every inch of this skin off. It was a choice that I made in a much warmer climate.
Yeah. So what are you doing here today? Why did you make this choice?
Well, it was kind of a mutual decision. Connor Kelly O'Brien, who is one of the board members of Scranton Fringe Festival, reached out to me and said, "Listen, Joe Biden is famously from Scranton, so there's a lot of buzz about Scranton this year. Would you like to come out and, in association with Haps News and Scranton Fringe Festival, would you like to do some election coverage and do some exit polling and talk to voters and I'll be speaking with some local representatives and some other representatives later in the day. I am the impeachment queen. I'm known very famously for going to the first day of Donald Trump's public impeachment hearings and reporting there with Haps. So I've kind of made a career out of running around like an idiot, talking to people and getting into the middle of things. And my goal today was to come here and to offer some entertainment to people who may be looking for a way to interact with the events of the election today, but that might be a little less stressful, that might be a little more fun and lighthearted and inclusive. So that's kind of what I'm going for today.
Right. And so what kind of reaction are you getting from voters so far as they're coming out?
It's very mixed. I've gotten a lot of really wonderful people who have smiled and waved and said hello, and several voters already who have come up to chat with me about their thoughts on the issues of this election and all kinds of other important things. And then there are some people who walk by very quickly with a spark in their eyes that if I lit a match, I'd be gone.
And so, the voters who are engaging with you are talking, what are the important issues? What are they saying about how they made their decision this election?
So far, a big issue for voters that I've spoken to today has been COVID-19. Obviously, we are in the midst of a global pandemic, and that has affected not only our health but our economy, and that has been a really big issue. It has been a big motivator for voters that I've spoken to today. And I imagine that for a lot of other voters, it's probably the same, but that is speculative on my part. LGBTQ issues have also been brought up to me this morning so far. And it's basically been along those lines: COVID-19, LGBTQ issues, and the economy. I think so far today, at least from what I've gathered, has been some huge motivators for people, and I would say that that's probably true for anyone wherever you go.
Okay. And you're the impeachment queen, but impeachment kind of feels so long ago at this point with everything else that's happened since.
Well, 2020 was 6 years. I don't. We'll be in 2020 6 years from now.
Correct. That's what my calendar says. But I mean, are you even hearing from people about impeachment, or is that just so far in the past at this point?
It's very far in the past, and I'm known for that appearance, but I'm also known for being a politically active person and a politically aware person. So I don't like to call it an appearance. I was there, reporting and also protesting for LGBTQ people and people of color, especially trans women of color who are being attacked and victimized at an alarming rate in this country. So I feel anytime I can speak about that, I do. That said, the impeachment was a really great opportunity for me because it gave me a platform with which to voice my concerns and to motivate a lot of people to stay politically involved no matter which side of the aisle you're on. Love me or hate me, if you see me, you've got an opinion.
Yeah, and what, other events have you been up to since impeachment? Any kind of major stops along the way between back then and now?
There's been a lot of really wonderful stuff. Some of it is the impeachment was a year ago, almost to the day, today, and since then a lot of things were kind of being planned and then were kind of postponed or halted by obviously the onset of COVID-19. But since then, I've done a lot of really wonderful things. I always consider myself a performer and an entertainer first and foremost. So I've continued to produce shows, digital shows on social media. We're planning another one for December that I can't announce yet because we haven't announced it yet. But I did a really wonderful show called the Pissi Myles Variety Hour where I had special guests like Bob the Drag Queen and Missy Pyle. And hello, friends. Good morning. Thank you. I know. So just trying to stay active and, performing where I can. I had the privilege of good morning, darling. I had the privilege of performing at a wedding for a high school friend of mine who came out after high school. He and his husband got married a few weeks ago, and I had the honor of performing at his wedding. So it's been a lot more private events, digital events, trying to maintain safe working conditions for everyone to stop the spread of this awful, awful virus, and just staying active and trying to motivate people to stay politically involved. That's been my primary focus.
All right. Anything else you want people to know?
Yeah, it's frickin' freezing here in Scranton. That's what I want people to know today. If you're going out to vote, make sure you bring a coat, some gloves, a hat, maybe one of those little heating packs. Oh, so good. That hat is perfect. Model yourself after her because she's doing a great job. I think a lot of people should model themselves after you. Of course. Hang out as long as you want. Thank you so much. I appreciate you speaking with me. Kids, that is another wonderful chat that I got to have with the Pocono record. My goodness. You can see my memory is not as... I'm like a goldfish. I'm like a politically aware goldfish. So I appreciate everyone coming up to chat with me. Like I said, we've seen a lot of different motivations for people being here this morning. LGBTQ issues, COVID-19, and the economy. I think COVID-19 and the economy are probably going to be the two strongest motivators for whichever way people vote today, no matter what their opinion is. Also, squeaky brakes. Squeaky brakes may also be a serious consideration today for anyone who is coming to vote in Scranton. We are here at the Scranton Cultural Center. This is it is a Masonic lodge, and it is now a polling place on this day. And we have a lot of people coming in to vote. We have seen people coming in and out basically since I've been here, and I've been here for over an hour now. It's been really wonderful to see people exercising their right to vote. I think it's important if you are watching, no matter who you are supporting, to go out and vote. It is your right and your civic duty. If you can at all, go out today and make sure that you cast your vote. Or if you have already cast your ballot, I want to thank you for voting today. It has been wonderful. Good morning, sunshine. Yes, so that is where we are at the moment. We have seen a lot of different people coming in for interviews regarding their votes. And actually, I mentioned her earlier, so we're going to pull her on real quick. Simone, do you mind chatting with me? This is Simone. Simone, what is your title with Scranton Fringe?
Enthusiastic friend.
Enthusiastic friend. You can put that on a resume. How's your morning so far, Simone?
Oh, it's been good. It's been exciting.
I could imagine. I got your Simone sent me a message earlier today, letting me know that she was watching. What was it? An election montage and weeping.
Yeah, CBS this morning. I was like chugging a pot of coffee and crying in my kitchen. So I'm ready to go.
Coffee has been quite an issue this morning. Connor went to get me Starbucks before he came here, and last night I let him know that I was very much in the mood for a pumpkin spice frappuccino because it is still November, it is still the fall for at least a little while, and Connor really put this poor barista through the ringer because he thought I said cappuccino after he'd already ordered. This is not an interesting topic, but what it comes down to is Connor is wanted by the police for the treatment of a barista here in Scranton, Pennsylvania.
Today, I don't know why this had to happen today. We have enough problems.
You know, sometimes you just got to blow off steam the best way you know how. And the best way sometimes is assaulting retail workers. I do not advocate for that at all. I am absolutely kidding. Simone, Simone, you are a voter here in Scranton, correct?
Yes, I am.
Do you live in town?
Yes, I do.
Ish. Did you grow up here?
Yeah. Grew up here for the pandemic. Live here a lot.
Live here a lot. I like that descriptor. Simone, what are some of the issues that have motivated you in this election?
Well, all of them. And now COVID-19, but the Supreme Court, LGBTQ rights, women's rights, science, the planet is dying is a big one. Yeah, civil rights, violence in the streets, you know.
There's a lot of things to consider.
And I do all the time, 24 hours a day in my head.
So here's an important question because we've done a lot of conversations with people about some very serious issues. What have you been doing to decompress, to kind of put it out of your head, to get the stress of this day out of your mind?
I don't. I don't know.
What are you binging? What are you binging on streaming?
I just started Fargo. So that's been fun, I guess. It's not chill, but it's fine.
Very exciting. Simone, thank you very much for chatting with me.
One second. It's Hoagie.
Oh, we're done. Simone, you're cutting out. The connection is weak. We can't hear you. Hello, Sarah. Kids, I'm welcoming on another Scranton voter, correct? Yes. Sarah, nice to meet you. Do you live here in Scranton?
Yes, I do. I've been living in Scranton for the last decade, and I live in the area of town called Greenridge, where Joe Biden was born and lived for 10 years.
So that answers the question. My next question was going to be, there's been a lot of contention about whether people believe Joe Biden is actually from Scranton or not. And obviously we know that the answer is yes, Joe Biden is from Scranton. Where did you live before Scranton?
Before that, I grew up in the borough of Dunmore, which is just adjacent to Scranton, but I was born in Brooklyn, New York. So just like Joe Biden was born in Scranton, so he's from Scranton, I also consider myself a native New Yorker.
You're a Brooklynite. Which part of Brooklyn?
Bensonhurst.
Oh, that's a nice part of Brooklyn. Good for you, Sarah. Yeah, and there are not a lot of nice parts of Brooklyn, so good for you. Look at that. God punished me. That was called karma, Sarah. Have you heard of it? I'm kidding. I love Brooklyn. Brooklyn is one of my favorite it's in my top 5 boroughs in New York City. Sarah, this has been a very crazy election season for everybody. What are some of the most important issues that motivated you as a voter this election season?
Okay. So first of all, I'm an elected official in the city of Scranton. I'm a director of the Scranton School District. So number one was definitely education. I feel like the person who's in leadership right now, the person who he appointed as the head of our education system, first of all, has no experience in education, does not have a background in education, is not for public education, and right now the education system in the country, especially now with the pandemic, a lot of our students are learning from home virtually, and the gaps between the haves and have-nots is becoming more and more relevant.
You're referring to Betsy DeVos, correct? Yeah. Betsy DeVos is the, I forget her official title, the Secretary of Education for the United States, and that is who Sarah's talking about. So education has played a vital role in your decision-making in this election process. Were there any other issues that spoke to you?
Also, as a first-generation American, my father My father was born in New York, to parents from Puerto Rico. My mother was born in Honduras. So definitely as as a Latina, as a member of the Latinx community, just seeing people and children, especially children who look like me, locked up in cages and also not getting the same rights as I've been afforded. Being born in America is just wrong. And then, last but not least, as a member of the LGBTQ community, seeing my rights and my friends' rights probably in the process being stripped away with the appointment of Amy Coney Barrett, along with Alito and what's his name?
Thomas.
Yeah. So yeah, there's just. I think discrimination and phobias of all kinds were sort of like latent in a lot of people's minds, but now with the last 4 years, it's becoming more acceptable to be just blatant and obvious with it.
And I think that's something that's interesting about this election. It has been so polarizing, and as someone who has been politically aware for the better part of 2 decades, I can say there's always been a level of contention. There's always been a level of us versus them, but it seems to be so prevalent now in such a really kind of vicious way. Something that I think a lot about in my own personal day-to-day is how we are going to bounce back from that. How are we going to kind of find a way to find some kind of unity in this country so that we can all find some common ground? Have you given any thought to how we as a country are going to kind of heal from this? Because there's so much speculation about violence and things like that, and my hope is always that we will be able to bounce back in a very peaceful, understanding way.
Well, God bless you, because I don't feel like that way. Like you're asking like a really important question that seems like and ideally would have a good answer, but just from my experience talking to different people, I know that with even in the same household, there's division. Like one spouse could have one perspective and voting for one person, the other spouse could have another perspective voting for another person, and they can't even agree to disagree. And then like when that's spread out amongst children and like cousins and parents and things, and it's very challenging. Like I know so many people who defriended people on social media because of this and no longer talk to those people, because a lot of people feel like, okay, it doesn't matter if we don't see eye to eye, we're still going to be friends. But other people feel so strongly because their rights have always been in question for so long. It's like, how can you vote for somebody who is against everything that I am, my entire being?
And that's fair. You know, I have been very vocal about my beliefs, and I'm also very open about the fact that, you know, my dad is a very vocal Trump supporter, and that's been a challenging conversation. But my hope is that anyone watching will take the time to have those conversations and try to remember what it is about that person that you love so much. That's the only thing I'm trying to pass on to everybody, that we all come out of this a little bit more lighthearted. I have one final question for you, Sarah, before I let you run. Do you watch The Office?
Yes, I have seen it in syndication because it's all over.
It is all over. Are you? And there's no wrong answer, theoretically. Are you Team Jim or Team Dwight?
Jim.
No one has said Dwight yet. I'm kind of surprised. I'm a little surprised no one has said Dwight. Dwight is strangely charming.
But there's a huge picture of him at one of our local little small businesses in Uncopass Avenue, so you have to check it out.
Oh, I didn't know that. I guess we're on our way right now.
Your picture taken in front of the mural.
Beautiful. Sold. Sarah, I appreciate you taking the time to chat with me today. Enjoy the rest of your day. Stay warm. And be good. That's Sarah. She is a local Scranton voter. And hi, how are you? I couldn't hear you, darling. I'm sorry.
You're very pretty.
Oh, thank you. I know. What's your name, darling?
My name's Athena.
Athena. That's a beautiful name. Do you live here in Scranton?
Yes.
How old are you, Athena?
I'm 8.
8, my goodness. I was 8 once, but I can't remember it. It's been so long. Athena, are you in school?
Yes, but I'm on my computer because of coronavirus.
It's all a bit crazy. We're all on our computers a lot more these days. What's your favorite subject in school, Athena?
Math.
Math, my goodness. I was so bad at math, I ended up doing this for a living. So your mom is very lucky that you like math as much as you do. What's your least favorite subject?
My least favorite subject is recess because I love school so much.
That is adorable. You and I could not be more polar opposites, Athena. I loved recess. But I love that. That's very sweet. It's nice to meet you, Athena. Are you staying warm today?
Yes.
Yes. Well, stay warm. It's nice to meet both of you. Enjoy the rest of your day. We have so many wonderful voters out here today, voters like Athena. My goodness. It's always such a pleasure to meet young people who are enamored by meeting someone as scary as this clown over here. Were you giving me a sign? I was like, is something circling my head? Oh my goodness. Kids, good news and bad news. I'm almost done doing my exit polling here at the Scranton Cultural Center, but we are going to be doing a lot more interviews and coverage here in Scranton throughout the day, so make sure you tune in on Reddit and also on the Scranton Fringe Festival Facebook page, on the Pissi Myles Facebook page, and check us out. We'll be talking all day. We'll be talking all day about election stuff. What did you say? Go follow Scranton Fringe Festival on Facebook. Follow Pissi Myles. And so I'm going to take a short break, but I will be back in, let's say, about